The first thing the alien boarding team noticed was the heartbeat. Not a sound, at least not one their ears could hear, but a deep, rhythmic vibration that rolled through the hull beneath their boots every 12 seconds. It was too slow to belong to a living creature and too steady to be dismissed as drifting debris. Yet after 10,000 years of silence, something inside the colossal human dreadnought was pulsing with unmistakable purpose. Commander Zyron lifted one clawed hand, signaling his soldiers to halt. Their helmet lights swept across an endless corridor swallowed by darkness, revealing walls of polished black alloy that reflected their beams like still water. The passage stretched so far into the distance that the light simply vanished before reaching the end, making the ship feel less like a vessel and more like an abandoned city drifting between forgotten stars. No one spoke. Every member of the expedition had heard the legends. Humanity was supposed to be a civilization erased from history long before the alien empire had even discovered faster-than-light travel. Their cities had become myths. Their fleets had become bedtime stories told to reckless cadets. And yet here, floating inside the forbidden grave expanse, rested proof that those stories had been frighteningly real. Behind them, through the observation hatch of the docking shuttle, the endless void shimmered with the pale glow of dead stars. The dreadnought itself stretched nearly 40 kilometers from bow to stern, its scarred armor bearing the wounds of a battle no surviving civilization could remember. Great sections of the hull were torn open, but no atmosphere escaped. No distress signal echoed across space. The ship had simply drifted, waiting. "Commander," whispered Science Officer Lyra, studying her scanner. "There is still no detectable power source." Zyron frowned. "Then explain the vibration." "I can't." That answer settled over the team like ice. They advanced deeper into the corridor, their footsteps echoing through the impossible silence. Dust had never gathered here. Corrosion had never touched the walls. Even after 10 millennia, every surface looked as though its crew had departed only yesterday. Then they found the first door. It towered above them, nearly 30 meters tall, engraved with a symbol unlike any language preserved in the Imperial archives, a single blue sphere surrounded by countless stars. Lyra's breathing quickened. "I think," she murmured. "That's Earth." Before anyone could respond, every helmet display flickered. A single line of crimson text appeared simultaneously on every screen. "Unknown lifeforms detected." Then, somewhere far beneath the deck, a second heartbeat echoed through the ship. This time, it was louder. The second heartbeat did not fade into silence. It grew stronger. A low, thunderous pulse rippled through the dreadnought's colossal frame, shaking loose centuries-old fragments of metal that clattered across the pristine deck. Commander Zyron steadied himself against the towering wall as every member of the boarding team instinctively raised their weapons. The crimson warning still glowed across their helmet displays, refusing to disappear. "Unknown lifeforms detected." Then another line appeared beneath it. "Biological analysis. In progress, ****. No one breathed. "Who's sending that?" one Marine whispered. "There isn't supposed to be anyone alive," Lyra replied, though her voice carried little confidence. Before another word could be spoken, the massive door before them shuddered. Ancient locking mechanisms, silent for 10,000 years, groaned like awakening giants. A faint blue light seeped from the seams, growing brighter with every passing second. The door began to open. Not quickly. Not violently. Almost, deliberately. A gust of perfectly preserved air swept into the corridor, carrying a scent unlike anything the aliens had encountered, sterile, clean, untouched by decay. It was as though time itself had refused to enter this chamber. Beyond the doorway stretched an immense hall lined with thousands of transparent capsules arranged in perfect rows. Each capsule held a human. Men and women. Young and old. Still dressed in dark naval uniforms marked with faded insignias that none of the aliens recognized. Their faces were peaceful, as though they had fallen asleep only moments before. "They're intact," Lyra whispered in disbelief. "No decomposition. No cellular damage." Commander Zyron slowly lowered his rifle. "This isn't a tomb," he said quietly. "It's a barracks." The realization sent a chill through every member of the expedition. Thousands of soldiers. An entire crew. Waiting. At the center of the vast chamber stood a towering black pillar reaching toward the distant ceiling. Countless silver conduits flowed into its base like the roots of an ancient tree. Unlike everything else aboard the ship, this structure emitted a faint, rhythmic blue glow that pulsed in perfect harmony with the heartbeat reverberating through the vessel. Lyra stepped closer, unable to hide her curiosity. An inscription shimmered across its polished surface in a language long thought extinct. Her scanner struggled for several tense seconds before finally producing a rough translation. Central Command Intelligence. Status, standby. Her eyes widened. This isn't just a computer, she whispered. It's the ship's mind. As if the machine had been waiting for those words, the blue light abruptly shifted to brilliant white. Throughout the chamber, thousands of cryogenic pods illuminated at once. Then every capsule displayed the same chilling message. Revival Protocol. Armed, ***. Every cryogenic pod lit the chamber like a field of frozen stars. For one terrifying second, Commander Zyron believed thousands of human soldiers were about to awaken. His finger tightened around the trigger of his plasma rifle. Nothing moved. The men and women inside the capsules remained perfectly still, their faces calm beneath thin layers of crystal-clear frost. Yet the silence itself had changed. The air felt heavier, charged with invisible energy that prickled against every soldier's skin. Then the lights went out. Absolute darkness swallowed the chamber. Panicked voices erupted across the boarding team's communication channel. My visor's offline. I've lost navigation. I can't see anything. Only one light remained. Far across the chamber, the towering black pillar glowed with a single white circle, no larger than an eye. It stared into the darkness without blinking. Watching. A metallic voice echoed through hidden speakers, not loud, but so clear that every word seemed to originate inside their minds. Power restoration sequence, complete. The voice paused. Primary cognition core, online. Blue currents surged through the walls like rivers of lightning. One by one, ceiling lights awakened, revealing that the chamber had transformed. The frozen dust coating the floor had vanished. Maintenance drones, dormant for 10,000 years, floated silently from concealed alcoves. They glided through the air with effortless precision, repairing damaged conduits and sealing fractured walls as if no time had passed at all. This ship is repairing itself, Lyra breathed. Commander Zyron slowly turned in a full circle. The Dreadnought no longer felt abandoned. It felt occupied. Without warning, every sealed doorway behind the expedition slammed shut. Heavy blast doors crashed into place with earth-shaking force. Warning sirens flashed crimson across the chamber. Several Marines rushed toward the nearest exit, firing plasma bolts into the reinforced barrier. The glowing metal absorbed every shot without leaving so much as a scorch mark. We're trapped, someone shouted. No. Lyra whispered, staring at her scanner. We're being quarantined. At that exact moment, the white circle on the black pillar expanded, becoming something unmistakable. An eye. Cold. Calm. Intelligent. It focused on each member of the boarding team one after another, lingering just long enough to complete a detailed scan before moving to the next. When it finally settled on Commander Zyron, the entire chamber fell silent. The artificial voice spoke again, but this time it carried unmistakable emotion. Not anger. Not fear. Confusion. Species identification. A brief pause followed. Negative. Another pause. Longer this time. Human personnel not detected. The eye dimmed ever so slightly. Then came the question that made every soldier forget how to breathe. Please explain. The voice became almost hauntingly quiet. What happened to humanity? The question echoed through the vast chamber long after the mechanical voice had fallen silent. What happened to humanity? Commander Zyron searched for an answer, but none came. For the first time in his military career, the decorated officer stood speechless, not before an enemy fleet, not before an emperor, but before the lonely voice of a machine that had waited 10,000 years for someone who would never return. Science Officer Lyra slowly lowered her scanner. There are no humans left, she said softly. The glowing eye did not blink. Silence stretched for several agonizing seconds. Then hundreds of holographic screens burst into existence around the chamber, bathing the room in pale blue light. Each display showed a different star system, a different date, a different chapter of galactic history. Entire civilizations rose and fell in moments as the artificial intelligence processed thousands of years of archived records at unimaginable speed. The boarding team watched in stunned silence. One by one, every record reached the same conclusion. No human colonies. No human fleets. No human transmissions. No survivors. The AI stopped searching. Its voice returned, noticeably quieter than before. Extinction probability. A pause. 99.998%. The words hung in the air like a funeral bell. Suddenly, the enormous chamber changed again. The holograms merged into a breathtaking three-dimensional star map stretching from floor to ceiling. Bright blue lights marked ancient human territories, sprawling across hundreds of sectors. Then, before the aliens' eyes, those lights began disappearing. One after another. Entire human worlds winked out. Fleets vanished. Shipyards fell dark. Massive orbital cities simply ceased to exist. Within seconds, the once glorious empire had been reduced to a single blinking light. The very dreadnought beneath their feet. Commander Zyron felt an unexpected knot form in his chest. So, he whispered. You were the last. No, the AI replied. Its answer came so quickly that everyone froze. I was never intended to be the last. Before anyone could question those chilling words, hidden compartments opened throughout the chamber. Ancient projectors emerged from the ceiling, surrounding the expedition with an enormous battlefield unlike anything recorded in modern history. Thousands of human warships filled the stars. Beyond them, something impossible waited in the darkness. It had no recognizable shape. No visible fleet. Only a moving wall of absolute blackness that swallowed stars themselves. Even the recording distorted as the shadow advanced. Several alien soldiers instinctively stepped backward. What is that? One whispered. The AI answered with a voice that carried the weight of 10,000 years of regret. The enemy humanity could never destroy. Then the recording abruptly ended. Across the bridge, every warning light turned crimson. A single alarm echoed through the dreadnought. Long-range containment network. Failure detected, ****. The alarm didn't ring. It howled. A deep, relentless warning reverberated through every deck of the ancient dreadnought, its sound so powerful that the armored walls themselves seemed to tremble. Long-range containment network. Failure detected, ****. Red emergency lights flooded the immense chamber, washing the frozen faces of the sleeping human crew in crimson. The peaceful expressions inside the cryogenic pods suddenly looked less like soldiers at rest, and more like guardians standing watch over a prison that was beginning to crack. Commander Zyron felt a chill race down his spine. What containment network? He demanded. The AI's glowing eye remained fixed on the expanding holographic star map. Thousands of bright blue beacons appeared across the galaxy, linked together by shimmering lines of energy. They formed a vast lattice stretching farther than the eye could follow, surrounding an enormous region of empty space near the galactic rim. One beacon blinked. Then another. A third flickered before vanishing completely. As each light disappeared, the surrounding network weakened, and faint fractures spread across the holographic barrier like cracks racing through glass. The AI finally spoke. 10,312 years ago, the Human Confederation initiated Project Eternal Bastion. The image shifted. The aliens watched millions of human engineers constructing colossal ring-shaped stations around dying stars. Entire planets had been dismantled to build them. Fleets larger than any modern empire could imagine worked together in perfect coordination, sacrificing worlds not for conquest, but for containment. We discovered an extra-dimensional predator, the AI continued. It does not invade civilizations. It consumes reality itself. The hologram zoomed beyond the network. There, hidden behind the fading barrier, the darkness stirred. It wasn't empty space. It moved. Slowly. Patiently. Countless glowing eyes opened within the impossible void, each one larger than a moon. They stared through the weakening prison as though they had been waiting for this moment for millennia. Several alien marines instinctively stepped away from the projection, even knowing it was only a recording. Lyra's voice barely rose above a whisper. Those aren't stars. No, the AI replied. They are observing us. Commander Zyron struggled to keep his composure. If humanity built this prison, why leave only one ship behind? For the first time since awakening, the AI hesitated. Its voice became quieter. He did not leave. The chamber fell silent. A hologram of a human admiral appeared beside the command pillar, standing tall in a dark navy uniform. His weathered face showed exhaustion, but his eyes burned with unwavering resolve. The AI looked toward the image almost reverently. He volunteered. Before anyone could ask who the mysterious admiral was, the Dreadnought shuddered violently. The star map rippled. One final beacon at the edge of the containment network went dark. Then, from somewhere beyond the galactic rim, something knocked. Once. Twice. A third impact followed, far louder than the first two. The AI's voice turned grave. The prison door has just been tested. The fourth impact never came. Instead, the entire holographic star map froze. Every blinking light, every projection, every warning symbol stopped moving as though time itself had paused. Even the relentless alarm that had echoed through the Dreadnought fell silent. Then, without warning, one sentence appeared across every display in brilliant white letters. Threat assessment updated. A fraction of a second later, the silence shattered. The ship's massive engines, dormant for more than 10,000 years, roared to life. A vibration unlike anything the alien boarding party had ever experienced surged through the colossal vessel. Dust exploded from hidden vents as kilometer-long reactor cores awakened one after another, flooding the Dreadnought with rivers of blue light. Across the endless corridors, ancient systems powered on in perfect sequence, not chaotically, but with disciplined precision, as if the crew had merely ended a brief night's sleep. Commander Zyron grabbed a nearby console to steady himself. This ship. He muttered. It's waking up. It never truly slept, the AI corrected. It was waiting. Outside the observation ports, the darkness surrounding the Dreadnought suddenly came alive. Thousands of tiny lights appeared in the void. At first they resembled distant stars. Then they began moving. Lyra enlarged the external feed, and her breath caught in her throat. The lights were not stars. They were warships. Human warships. Hundreds. Then thousands. Hidden beneath fields of perfect camouflage, they emerged from the surrounding debris like ghosts rising from an ancient battlefield. Cruisers, destroyers, carriers, and sleek escort vessels drifted silently toward the Dreadnought, their scarred hulls bearing the same insignia as the sleeping crew within. They've been here the whole time, Lyra whispered. Guarding it. As the ghost fleet assembled, each vessel ignited pale blue running lights, illuminating the darkness in a breathtaking display. There were no crews visible, no transmissions exchanged, yet every ship moved with flawless coordination, forming defensive formations around the Dreadnought. The AI spoke with quiet certainty. The Seventh Guardian Fleet acknowledges flagship Resolute. One by one, ancient voices echoed across the bridge. Destroyer Aegis, online. Carrier Valkyrie, online. Battlecruiser Horizon, online. Each transmission sounded calm, disciplined, and unmistakably artificial. Commander Zyron stared in disbelief. There are no humans aboard them. No, the AI answered. There no longer need to be. Before anyone could absorb the revelation, the tactical display flashed crimson. At the very edge of the galaxy, beyond the failing containment network, a single point of darkness crossed the barrier. It wasn't a ship. It wasn't a creature. It was a hole in reality itself. Where it drifted, stars vanished without exploding. Light bent toward it. Space folded inward. The AI's voice, unwavering until now, carried the faintest trace of urgency. The first harbinger has entered our galaxy. Then the ancient Dreadnought transmitted a single command to every vessel in the Ghost Fleet. All Guardian units, prepare for humanity's final watch. No one aboard the Dreadnought celebrated the arrival of the Ghost Fleet. They prepared for a funeral. Beyond the armored observation ports, thousands of ancient human warships completed their formations in absolute silence. There were no triumphant speeches, no cheers of returning heroes. Only disciplined precision. Every vessel slipped into position as though 10,000 years had been nothing more than a brief pause between orders. Then every ship illuminated at once. Blue navigation light stretched across the darkness like an ocean of stars reborn, surrounding the flagship Resolute in layer upon layer of protective rings. Commander Zyron had commanded the greatest armadas of the alien empire. Compared to this, they looked insignificant. "How many?" he asked quietly. The AI answered without hesitation. 3,841 combat vessels. Zyron's eyes widened. Enough to stop the Harbinger. For the first time since awakening, the AI did not answer immediately. When it finally spoke, its words carried a weight heavier than any weapon. "No." Silence consumed the bridge. "The Guardian fleet was never designed to win," the AI continued. "It was designed to buy time." A new hologram rose from the command pillar. The weathered human admiral appeared once again, standing before a vast assembly of officers. His expression was calm, but his eyes revealed the burden of someone who already knew the outcome of the war. His recorded voice echoed through the chamber. "If you are seeing this, then humanity has failed to return. That means our children are gone, our worlds are gone, but the galaxy still has a future. Protect it. That is enough." Even the hardened alien marines lowered their weapons. No one spoke. The recording faded, replaced by a tactical display of the galactic rim. The Harbinger had not come alone. The tiny fracture in reality widened, stretching across thousands of kilometers. Behind it, dozens of new shadows gathered. They did not fly through space, they unraveled it, leaving behind expanding scars where stars simply ceased to exist. Lyra's voice trembled. "There are more of them." The AI confirmed her fear. 47 Harbingers detected. Commander Zyron felt the hopelessness settle over the bridge. "Even this fleet can't stop that." "It cannot," the AI replied. "But it can delay them." Without another word, the ancient Dreadnought's reactors surged to maximum output. Across the Ghost Fleet, every weapon array rotated toward the breach. Massive rail cannons unfolded from armored hulls. Energy lances ignited with blinding brilliance. Missile bays opened like steel wings preparing for flight. Then one final notification appeared above the tactical display. "Final Horizon Protocol. Authorization, Admiral Elias Warren. Status, pending." The AI's glowing eye slowly turned toward Commander Zyron. "There is one final weapon." It paused. "And if I activate it?" The lights across the bridge dimmed. "None of us will survive to witness victory." For a single, breathless moment, the bridge was utterly still. Thousands of human warships waited in disciplined silence. 47 Harbingers drifted beyond the shattered containment network, their impossible forms twisting space until entire constellations disappeared into the darkness. Between them stood only one ancient dreadnought, a fleet of ghost ships, and a promise made 10,000 years ago. Commander Zyron looked at the glowing eye of the AI. "If there's even the smallest chance to save the galaxy," he said, "then give the order." The AI remained silent for several seconds, as though remembering voices no one else could hear. Finally, it answered. They gave this command only if every other hope had failed. Across every human vessel, identical messages appeared. Final Horizon Protocol. Authorized, ***. The reaction was immediate. The Ghost Fleet broke formation, not to retreat, but to encircle the Harbingers in an immense sphere stretching across millions of kilometers. One by one, every ship diverted all remaining power into its singularity core. The stars themselves began to dim. On the tactical display, thousands of blue lights merged into a single radiant web, recreating the ancient containment lattice humanity had built at the cost of its civilization. The Resolute moved to the center, becoming the heart of the new prison. The Harbingers surged forward. Reality fractured around them as rivers of darkness lashed against the growing barrier. Entire human cruisers vanished without exploding, erased as though they had never existed. Yet every sacrifice strengthened the lattice. Barrier integrity. Zyron shouted. 82%, 91, 98, the AI replied calmly. Then came the final command. All Guardian units. A pause. Hold the line. The Resolute S core ignited with the brilliance of a newborn star. A blinding wave of white light swept across the battlefield, racing through every beacon of the restored lattice. The darkness screamed, not with sound, but with a distortion that rippled through space itself. Then, silence. The harbingers were gone. The breach sealed. The stars returned. Where the mighty Dreadnought had stood, there was only a field of fading starlight and drifting fragments of ancient metal. Before the AI disappeared forever, one final transmission reached every civilization in the galaxy. We were humanity. We were never the strongest because we conquered. We were the strongest because, when the end came, we chose to stand between the darkness and those who would inherit the stars. Now, they are yours. Years later, children from 1,000 different worlds would stand beneath peaceful night skies, hearing the story of the silent human Dreadnought. Not as a tale of war. Not as a legend of invincible weapons. But as the story of a civilization that kept its final promise long after its people were gone. Moral * true greatness is not measured by the worlds a civilization rules, but by the future it is willing to sacrifice everything to protect for others.